Autumn Nation Series, Ireland over Japan, 60 points to 5 is a bit of a hiding. 9 tries to 1. I've just gone and watched that one. Kind of watched it out of order because of the time difference. I've watched Wales and South Africa and France and Argentina. Still yet to watch New Zealand and Italy, but yeah, 60 points to 5. It was supposed to be a bit closer than that. But yeah, we'll go through some of the key events, some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on the game. Your man Javo managed to get in on the national anthem for Japan, so that's 2 from 2 from him in the Autumn Nation Series. But in terms of the actual players, yeah, interesting kit that the Irish guys were wearing. That was kind of a purpley burgundy colour, which was a first for me as well. But man, if you're going to put in performances like that, you should wear that kit more often because it was, yeah, pretty good stuff. Cracking start, James Lowe, who was under a bit of pressure to perform on his return to Ireland, got underway pretty well, man. 2 on 1 out wide. Try for him. He showed some proper wheels, so 7-0 pretty early. And Ireland, man, just kept running and popping. Like, it's not what we associate generally with Ireland in recent times. Like, the offload count in this game is 17 to 4. And you would, if you'd seen that stat before the game, you would have thought it was Japan with the 17. But no, it was Ireland. They were just really keeping the ball alive, even in their own 22, running it out. Just like, yeah, popping everything. And it was pretty easy on the eye, I'll have to say that. Conway got the first of his 3 on 10 minutes out on the right wing. Gibson Park with a nice little grubber through for his try assist. So good game from him as well, to be fair. Another guy who comes in for a bit of criticism, but maybe kept a few people quiet this week, I would say. Japan on 18 minutes finally had a chance to settle things down, get a line-out attack down Ireland's end, and of course they lost the line-out, so any momentum they had from that was gone. And then a minute later, Conway goes over for his second try. Maul defense from Japan, kind of having to suck in all some of their defenders, and yeah, when Ireland finally spun it wide, there was heaps of space out there. So 19-0 after about as many minutes. Yeah, pretty brutal start. Very relentless would be the word I would use for that Ireland start. It did kind of settle down a bit. Ireland opted for a 3-pointer on 23, which was an interesting choice when you're 19 points to 0 up, but I guess they were a bit wary or maybe just needed a wee breather. So Sexton kicked that one in his 100th game. 22 points to 0. I mean, Ireland didn't stop turning the screws, but they just weren't able to get any points for, I don't know, what, like 10 minutes? Eventually it did come. That one was Gibson Park, who got one on 33 minutes. It was Ringrose with the half break, and he's another guy. You could list out half of the Ireland team in terms of kind of key performers who had a good game, but yeah, Ringrose was looking pretty solid as well. So yeah, it was starting to get a bit messy. 29-0. Before halftime, Japan was still under a heap of pressure. They did manage to kind of hold their defence phase after phase from the Irish attackers. Had penalties that were tapping and going. Eventually Sakate, the hooker, got yellow carded for the repeated infringements, but Ireland weren't able to score, so it's still 29-0 at half-time with Japan having a man down. Second half gets underway. They finally do crack the Japanese line in that second half. It's a 5-metre line-out. It's Sexton who gets that one in 47 minutes. Good move from the Irish guys to go blindside. Gibson Park gets another try assist, so kind of happy days for him. And you could see the crowd were pretty chuffed to see Johnny get a try in his 100th. So yeah, it was really starting to look like a blowout when it's 36-0. I mean, you had ridiculous stuff happening in this game, like Porter and Furlong running in the midfield. Like, when you got two props like that, just finding that kind of space, you know something's not going right for Japan. And yeah, it was pretty brutal. Eventually, that finished with Aki getting a try out on the right wing. Matsushima was stepped, so they missed the conversion, and it's 41-0. They did manage to get on the board, though. They got one through for feature on 56. That was kind of one of their first real attacking plays that they actually got some momentum with. Yeah, it was Jimeno who went into a nice gap and set up the try with the pass. but it's 5 points, and you're staring down the barrel of 40 already. Sexton went off on 61. He got a standing ovation, which was kind of fair. Ireland, when the subs came on, maybe a little bit disjointed. They got a yellow card warning for giving away too many penalties, but that seemed to only spur them on because they replied from there with winning a turnover, winning a breakdown penalty, and then like Henderson was fired up when he came on. A bit of football skills to tow through some loose ball and then basically pick up a Japanese guy recovering the ball, chuck him over his try line to force a 5 metre scrum. And that 5 metre scrum leads to a try to Ringrose. He gets one on 69, stepped and powered over, stretched over really. They had to check that it was kind of all one movement, but it was all good. 48-5. Conway gets his hat-trick on 74. That one was Japan just kind of failing to deal with a kick through. 53-5. And then the last one was Cian Healy basically doing like a baseball player, right? He saw the ball at the base of a ruck, a metre out, pointed where he was going to go. I guess to tell his teammates, that's where I'm going, get behind me. And that's exactly where it went. Japanese defenders couldn't do anything for it. So not much to say in terms of a Japanese point of view for this one, man. 60 points to 5. Run meters, 581 to 235. That's brutal. Clean breaks, 14 to 2. Brutal. I mean, turnovers conceded despite the fact they didn't have that much ball. 21 for Japan, only 10 for Ireland, despite the fact that it was Ireland chucking around all those offloads. So, yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, lineouts is one area neither side will be happy with. 8 from 12 for Ireland, 10 from 16 for Japan. So, neither kind of lacking the fluidity they would have wanted. But yeah, Yamanaka, 56 run meters is the best you got to show for the Japanese guys. Labaskakni in a defeated team, like 25 out of 25 tackles, is a proper shift and is worth a mention. But the Irish guys, you could go on for days. Low, 123 run meters, beats 6 defenders, 3 clean breaks. Doris makes 9 from 9 tackles. Conan, 70 run meters, 4 defenders beaten. Gets a line out still. I think he gets man of the match as well. So a proper shift for the Irish guys. Kind of puts things into context as well, because remember, Japan ran a pretty good Aussie team close a few weeks ago. So they're not a bad team, but Ireland certainly made them look pretty ordinary in this game. So, yep, congratulations to Ireland. I was one who questioned the selections of some of the guys a wee bit, but if Andy Farrell's boys are going to put in a performance like that, then, yeah, don't complain and just revel in the victory. They've got Ireland have got New Zealand up next week. That should be a bit of a ding-dong battle based on that performance, but New Zealand is obviously a different prospect to Japan. Japan have got Portugal, so that'll be one where they can maybe shift things around a wee bit and get back to winning ways, because since they've come back into Test rugby after the World Cup and having 2020 off, they've had some decent performances, but it's been all losses, like a couple to Ireland now, to the British and Irish Lions and Australia. So they haven't had a heck of a lot of rugby compared to the countries playing in the Six Nations and the Rugby Championship. But yeah, they could use a win. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later. Bye.